Now, before we begin, just want to say huge thank you to Destino for actually making this happen. This is his personal unit, and Celeste has nothing to do with any of this. So this is the Celest Wyvern. It costs $49 retail, and to be fair, I have no idea how much this cost initially, and when they told me it was X amount of price, I was like, yeah, it sounds like that. Only then to be told, oh, it's only $49, and I'm like, what? That's a bargain. Anyways, enough ramblings, let's start the video. Now, just to be clear, this is probably just going to be a more short impressions rather than like a very comprehensive review of me usually rambling about the nuances of certain things, mainly because I don't have enough time right now. But with all that aside, this is just going to be my very quick first impressions after using this for around 3 to 4 hours total. And one more very important thing, if you guys feel like y'all want more info about this pair, y'all could just go to Destino's blogs on HitFi. He has a very large comprehensive review of a lot of IEMs under his belt, so please go and read all of his reviews. He is a very good reviewer, and I truly respect his time and ability to write so intricately. So the Celest IgniteX, like I said, is a $49 IEM. It is made of a single DD and a single BA configuration. And I will say this, initially when I received this, I did not ask Destino how much this is, and I personally like to tell people, and they probably know as well, I do not want to know how much is the price first. I want to take a gauge. And to be honest, everybody guessed this to be like around over 100 to 150 US dollars. We were not expecting this to be only this cheap. This thing is a bargain. This thing really is a bargain. Before we talk about sound quality, just a few things to go through very quick and brief. This whole thing is of a resin build, and it has a very nice faceplate. Personally, I see this thing to be, you know, a 3D etched faceplate, which is very quite nice. It is not a sticker, it is basically something physical that is being embellished into the resin, which is quite nice. It has a 2-pin removable termination cable, as well as a very nicely designed nozzle filter, which honestly I think they really gone through their lengths to make this look as detailed as possible, even though it's only $49 US dollars. And with all that aside, let's talk about sound. And because this thing is of this price point, I did not use any DAC and directly just plugged it into my MacBook, which is, you know, I would say the least amount of biasness instead of, like, you know, using a Kensei or an F15. But general sound impressions basically is that this thing is quite a V-shaped IEM, but after a while, after you immerse yourself in it, it sounds more balanced than V-shaped. Your mileage may vary depending on the song that you listen to and the DACs that you use. But on my Mac itself, it sounds more balanced with some slight treble boost. And one more thing to note is that this thing is more of a, I would say, musical pair. Like, definitely Technicalities are on par, but I would feel like this thing is more fun to listen to than something that's more analytical. Now, starting off to the bass, this is something that I don't see most people doing at this point, because people like to give you guys concussions nowadays. Expect this pair to sound more whimsical. There's less sub bass than usual than the typical IEMs that you see on the market right now, which brings up more emphasis on the lower bass and up. Overall, you could say the characteristics of lower bass, mid bass, and up are quite clean, are quite quick, but specifically it's not tight. There's still some looseness to it, so everything sounds slightly more organic, so there's that. And note definition, definitely it's a downfall of this pair, which is, you know, the note definition of the bass is a little bit lacking. But if you're talking about this thing being only $49 US dollars, like, this is me prior knowing to the price, I would say it's a loss, but knowing that it's only $49 now, it's definitely a deal. It's definitely a deal. And when we're talking about mids, initially, like I said, I thought it was V-shaped, but then I realized it's balanced. Mainly because when I was with my friend, I did not have anything for me to play on other than his RU6. Overall sounds more V-shaped there. But here on the Mac, it sounds quite balanced. Vocals are quite up there for a $49 US dollar IEM, and honestly, tonality is very natural with seemingly almost zero coloration. Positioning overall is also very perfect. It's not recessed, it's not too forward, it's just all right. Vocalist, like I say, it just sounds all right. There's no hollowness to it, there's no veiledness to it, there's nothing. And every nuance of their, you know, of their tones, every nuance of how they sing can be heard and being synergized quite perfectly with all the overtones that are coming out. And in terms of instruments, There's honestly a lot that I could talk about if I listen to this long enough, but sadly not. Overall, the main few things that I noticed is that, first of all, it has quite a very airy presence in the mids. Like, you can feel like overtones are definitely just synergizing everywhere. Second of all is that everything has a very dynamic essence to it. It is very musical. Everything just flows quite good. Nothing is stagnant, nothing sounds one-dimensional, nothing sounds monotonous. Everything has its ups and downs, so it does not sound too boring. This is not a one-dimensional pair. Like I say, this is quite a musical pair, which I enjoy quite a lot. And one more thing, guitars are quite excellent on this pair in terms of how heavy it is, how body, how note heavy it is. The weight on it is very adequate. It's very mature. And moving on to the treble, this is the part where the fact that this is a single DD plus a single BA config comes into play. Considering that it has a BA, everything on the upper mids and up are going to have a more strong output. And details such as finger snaps, all of these sound very strong. It sounds very assertive. And perks overall, hi-hats, snares, rides, everything sounds very robust, everything sounds very vibrant, and overall it also has very good extension to it. It has a very good treble extension to it. But occasionally, this is the only nitpick that I could find after listening to this for such a brief period. In very certain tracks, let's say if you're listening to songs that are less busy, something like Tomish Movie, I always like to use that track to notice vocals. I would say the mixing is a little bit on the bad side. Tomish vocals are a little bit hollow, but what I did not notice is that this thing has quite good emphasis on the treble, maybe a little bit too much. This sounds like the snare taps are a little bit too aggressive. It sounds a little bit too much for me. But other than this one specific thing that I noticed, other tracks from J-pop to hip-hop, I don't find any problems whatsoever with the treble, because I again am quite of a treble head. This thing is really up there. And again, like I said, with the mids, everything is quite airy as well in this area. Everything is quite airy as well in this region. So honestly, there's not really that much to talk about other than it's definitely a great pair. And if you want things that are more emphasized in the treble region without sacrificing any mids, any presence of the mids, this thing is doing it quite well. And doing it quite well it is, because talking about the technicalities, nothing wrong with the dynamics, everything is excellent. Soundstage, I would say this thing is really on par to be 100 to 150 USD region type of soundstage. Enough width, enough depth, and for some reason I feel like this thing has a very good holographic soundstaging, separation, and imaging compared to like other types of IEMs. I don't know how to say this, but the 3D holographic rendition of every single thing is quite good. Pinpoint accuracy definitely is lacking, but definitely you are expecting this to just be this price point. You don't expect it to be like, of a kilobuck level type of detail. But as it is right now, the technicalities for the imaging and separation is already quite up there. And last but not least, detail retrieval. Like, I was initially surprised by the tuning during first impressions. Like, when I first listened to Mac Miller's Come Down to Earth, it was quite luscious. Everything sounds very smooth. Mac Miller's vocals are very amazing. And then the details just kept coming in and coming in and coming in. Like, mids and up specifically, they emphasize a lot of the micro and macro details as overtones. Like, everything just resonates really well, creating this very synergistic atmosphere that you have. Y'all just need to listen to this. Like, if you are starting off with trying to find a good pair for your collection, this thing is a no-brainer. Like, this is something that they dare to do with very good mids and very good treble. Bass might be a little bit lacking, but then once you listen to enough stuff, you definitely realize that the most important things in a track, in a song, is mids and up. All of those nuances, all of those little bright details, all of those sparkly bits are more important there. The bass is just here to give you a foundation. And this definitely does it quite well. My conclusion on this, like the title says, it's a bargain. I don't really have anything else to say. This pair is honestly quite up there for $49 US for what it's worth. So thank you, Destino, for actually sending me this pair. I did not expect to find such a gem for this price point, or to be even more fair, I did not ask for the price point. I was just gonna be like, oh, $100 US. Sure, it's quite good. But realizing the price to this, it is quite a big difference. It's quite a big jump. So yeah, thanks for watching. And if you guys want to read more stuff, y'all can head over to Destino's Head5 post, which is the link in my description below, as well as check out his other reviews on other IEMs. He has a very comprehensive review system, which I really respect him to do so. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a good one.